Hello, everyone. Happy Monday as you're watching this. Appreciate you taking some time to jump back on LinkedIn. As you're scrolling through, hopefully you stop to watch the video here, and we appreciate that. So, as you can see, a new guest with me this week. Kayla has taken some time out of her very busy schedule to jump on here with me. So, Kayla, I appreciate you taking that time to talk about your transition out of education, what you're doing now, and what you love so much about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Super happy to be here.
Awesome. Awesome. So, getting into what's motivating me for the week ahead, it's actually a pretty busy week, or it might be. I'll say it that way. So as of today, we're recording this on Friday. You see the hat Sixers are up 3 games to none. So if they win this weekend, Monday will be a little bit more low key for me. If they lose, I do have tickets to game 5. So win-win for me, I guess, either way. Saturday, they either sweep or I get to possibly go to the game. So we'll see. But then I am going to Philly again Thursday. Either way, I have tickets to the Phillies. So a big Philly sports week from that ahead. So a lot of travel to Philly in general. I'll get to that later. So that's one of the motivators for me is just kind of those trips, some time to kind of unwind with some friends and enjoy the sports. Hopefully enjoy them. Hopefully they don't disappoint me. We'll see. The second thing that's motivating me, once a month, my friends do trivia, and they have movie categories, and I'm like the movie guy of the group. So once a month, I agree to do these, or my wife agrees to give me a kid and wife free night and just kind of go out on the town myself. So this Wednesday, it's 90s movie trivia. So looking forward to that since that's kind of the pinnacle of like Matt's movie watching, when it all started, when Matt's love of cinema began in the 90s. So getting to kind of dig into my knowledge for that. And then the third thing motivating me, it may be chaotic. We will see. We're taking the little one to Sesame Place in Philly on Sunday. So
Oh, yeah.
we splurged for the character dining. She's been talking about meeting Elmo all week. So rain or shine, we still get to go and do that. So we're at least like excited that we'll have that too. Hopefully it's nice weather. We can enjoy the park as well. But if not, wish me luck, Sesame Place, with a 3-year-old this coming Sunday. So we'll see how that all goes. So in terms of my goals for the week ahead, so with me being out of office on Thursday, biggest thing for me when I'm out of office is to just make sure my communication's on point. So a lot of people in the interview process, whether that's on site or meeting with the hiring managers, just want to make sure for that day that I'm out that there's no missed or lapse in communication with everyone. They all have kind of their itineraries. They know what they're doing. So I'm taking care of everyone before I go out. And then the other thing, I've had a few offers go out the past few weeks. So those start dates are coming up the next few weeks here. So trying to do a better job this year of keeping in touch with my candidates through the process, not just here's the offer, you signed it, best of luck to you. Like try to go that next step, and get them kind of excited about their starting their careers with the company. So I've been doing a better job with that. The thank you spreadsheet that I made in January to kind of assist with that. So just making sure I'm following up with that since I have a number these next 2 weeks that are starting. So no one slips through the cracks, and I kind of have that communication with them. And then my win from the week before is just kind of continue on that trend. I filled 2 positions, so I want to keep that momentum rolling. We had 2 really awesome people starting their careers here with the company now. So excited to get them started, get them set up with everything they need to be successful. So that's a win for all of us. But it's really cool to kind of get people to the finish line there and see them be so excited about the roles themselves. So that's what I have going on for my week this week. Kayla, what's going on with you?
Yeah, I love that. I'd have to say the highlight of your week coming up definitely is meeting Elmo. So I expect to see some kind of report back from that. Oh man, I love it. Let's see. So goals or motivators, you say motivators, coming up this week. So more on a personal level, I have a 5-year-old who is very active in ballet. And on Tuesday, it's like bring your mom to ballet day. So I'm excited to, get my day underway on Tuesday and that afternoon, make it to her ballet class. And I'm thankful for the flexibility to be able to do that. So looking forward to that, really excited. And then just a motivator, honestly, for the week is, it's no secret that I, have transitioned out of the classroom. And one of the greatest joys of that is I can go outside anytime that I want. So it's a huge motivator for me to like chunk my day, get tasks completed so that I can go for a walk, or I'm a big rocking chair lover. So I have a nice front porch. I like to rock on my front porch. So yeah, those are two pretty big motivators for me. And then I would just say, as far as goals, I really want to manage my time well this upcoming week. I have a lot of conversations going with a lot of different people around a lot of exciting things. And so just making sure that I'm um, not leaving myself enough time to do like the personal duties that I have, with my husband and my family, and not, making myself too overwhelmed with my schedule. So just managing that well. And that there's health in saying no sometimes. It's okay to tell people no. So yeah, that's a little bit about my week ahead and what I'm excited and looking forward to most. So
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you get to participate at the ballet class too, or are you just there as an observer? Do you get to
oh
like?
yeah, they they don't want me to participate. So if they ask, they might get blessed with what they see, but
For sure.
Rob's just watching.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So the reason I had reached out to you and you agreed to be on the show is this time of year is kind of that crunch time for educators. It's been 8 years for me, a little bit more recent for you, the transition, but it's a daunting time. You're kind of at the end of that school year, and it's kind of decision time for a lot of people. How hard do I really want to pursue this? Do I want to, re-up that contract, things like that. And so for someone that has transitioned out of the classroom and into a position in sales, business development, for you, what did that transition look like? Was that kind of, you knew going in the account executive sales, that type of position was going to be your calling, or was that just something that the more research you did, you found that aligned with what you wanted to transition into?
Yeah, great question. So in short, no.
Mhm.
I had no idea what I was doing. In fact, I was one of those people who was Googling, what can I do with an education degree aside from being in the classroom? I knew that there had to be something out there, but just didn't know what that looked like. I landed in sales because I had spoken to a good family friend of ours who is in medical sales. And he was like, Kayla, you should get on LinkedIn, make a profile, which by the way, no idea how to do that either. Um, and he said, look into Salesforce. Like there's something called Trailhead, try to start learning the lingo, and I'm taking notes like a trailhead, what's a Salesforce?
Right.
I just had no idea what I was doing. But honestly, through LinkedIn and just seeing all these different types of job titles pop up, I just had to honestly start Googling what they even meant and what they were. And I found through that research, process, but also just talking to people, being willing to get into their inbox, being like, hi, like, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. I've seen you've accomplished XYZ. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Mhm.
Um, I found that the SDR, the sales development role, was going to be one of the most critically important foundational types of roles that I could possibly enter into in this new arena. Um, and so yeah, that is how I landed on sales. I knew that I needed my foot in the door, and if that meant entry level, I kind of had to humble myself and be okay with that.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Definitely. So let's talk a little bit then about how you built your network on LinkedIn, because that's another hurdle that I think a lot of educators run into. Other educators, but making that initial introduction is not the easiest thing to do, especially, with in mails and things like that. So how did that process look for you? Was it just kind of I need to, take my medicine, do this type of thing and pull off the band-aid, or did you have a different approach to it when it came to connecting with people in the industry that you wanted to join?
yeah, great question. So the way that I approached it is I started just simply connecting with people and following different, larger creators, if you will,
Mhm.
on the platform. And I just simply started by engaging with their content. So when they would post something, I would try to say something that I felt like resonated, or honestly was just myself, was just very honest of like, hey, I really like this, and asked questions.
Mhm.
Um, starting off that way kind of gave me like the bravery, if you will, to feel like, you know what? No, like I'm just gonna like reach out to them and having this understanding that they're just people too. At the end, I love to say at the end of the day, we're all just trying to put food on our tables for our families.
Mhm.
And I think when you approach something like that, it takes so much pressure off of like, oh my gosh, like they're strangers. We don't know each other. They may think I'm weird, whatever.
Right.
Um, and so from there, that's when I just said, you know what? I like they're people just like me. I have nothing to lose here. If they don't reply, then oh well,
Yeah.
So I just started going into the inbox that way, and I never just sent, a typed up message. I was huge on the voice memo feature in LinkedIn. I love that. I am a huge fan. I think that it is so underused.
Yeah.
I think that when you can have somebody hear your tone of voice and the inflection in your voice and a little bit of your personality and character, it's going to make it feel more human and not just another cold message in the inbox. So
Right.
that was one of the things I did.
Right. The messages that aren't templates but look like templates. It's
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Okay. So the big question I think all educators or transition teachers get is, the transferable skills question. What have I done as an educator that will make me moving into this industry a little bit easier? So for you in sales, what did that look like for you? What are some of the skills that they were like, you really need XYZ to be successful in sales? And you were like, hey, I do that every day in the classroom. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think sometimes people think a little too hard on this question.
Mhm.
It was more just things that you're doing in your everyday life, if you
Okay.
will. So having grit and determination to get something figured out. Um, Knowing that if there's a wall, that wall is not going to affect you. You're just going to blaze right through it. And specific to the educator role, you're walking into a classroom every day, and your job is to convince 20 or 25 students of these lessons that you have to convey to them,
Yeah.
whether it's you're teaching it one way for this specific number of students and then a completely different way for this number of students. You're constantly overcoming objections, whether that's from the student, the parent, the administrator, the outside world. There's always that objection piece. You're constantly having to be flexible. You know good and well that when you plan your day, 9 times out of 10, that's probably not how it's going to go down. So
Right.
the ability to pivot based on whatever circumstances are is also a huge indicator. But I think ultimately it comes down to your mindset. In the world of sales, you're going to have good days and you're going to have some really, really low days.
Mhm.
Um, how you come back from that is really what's going to determine your success in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So then how did you start preparing for the interview portion when it got to that? Because that's the other big question a lot of people have. If you've got the interview, and I know it's a nerve-wracking thing. You're like, oh my gosh, I finally get the interview. How do I prepare for this? So, I always tell people try to be loose as you can, easier said than done, right? So was there anything that you really kind of prepped for? Because a teacher interview is drastically different from an interview for a position in an office type setting. So what did it look like for you when it came time to actually have that face to face with the hiring managers?
Yeah, definitely can be a daunting
Mhm.
upcoming experience. I would say there are always three questions, regardless, I think, of whatever it is you're trying to specifically pivot into that you should always be able to answer. For me, I knew I was going into sales, so why sales, why you, and why
Mhm.
now?
Okay.
And I think being able to answer those three things confidently sets you up to be able to craft your story, and make these value connection points between you and their company of, hey, this is the experience that I have. And while I might not have, XYZ corporate language, what I do have is XYZ. So being able to tie your story and who you are to their company. Um, I got to know visions, missions. I talked to so many people in the company before I even interviewed just to get a taste of culture. I listened to podcasts. So if I knew that maybe their, VP of sales was featured on some kind of podcast, I was listening to that podcast and I was bringing that to the table and kind of dropping those little nuggets of, hey, like I know you a lot more than you realize.
Yeah.
And that's really valuable to people. So why you? why now and why whatever position you're in, I think is a great starting point just when it comes to getting your mindset for speaking to whomever you're interviewing with.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. Now, if people are connected with they've probably seen your posts recently, have been very positive, very reaffirming to other people in the education industry that are looking to kind of make that transition out. So for you, what did that mean to you when you were in the same boat? How much did you rely upon those messages of encouragement from other people that had either been in your position before or were just looking to be that positive reinforcement for you, and how much did you rely on that during your search to get you to those next steps?
Yeah, so transparently, I did not have like this grand teacher platform on LinkedIn, if you will. I had a very hard time trying to find people who were doing what I was looking to accomplish. So for me, it ended up looking like, oh, I saw that this gentleman was a firefighter and now he's an SDR. Those are very different. Like, how did he do that?
Okay.
And those are the people that I had to connect with. But that brings me to I did come across one gal whose name was Kelly. She worked at Salesforce. The only reason I came across her is because I was trying to understand what Salesforce was due to our family friend who said, Kayla, you need to start learning all this lingo. And she happened to be a former educator, and I saw that she was in a, interview podcast type style like you and I are.
Mhm.
Uh, and I gleaned so much from her, not because she shared how she did what she did, but just because I saw that she was so far removed from the classroom, if you will. It made me see, oh my gosh, I can do this. I don't
Mhm.
know how I'm going to do this, but we're going to do it. And so, thank you for your kind words about just the encouraging content I'm trying to put out there. My desire is to be a landing page for those educators to know, this is a daunting task. Like, it
Right.
is a lot. It is exhausting in so many aspects.
Mm.
But you're not alone. And I want educators to really know that. There's so many people who are trying to accomplish the same thing that they are. Uh, don't allow that to intimidate you. Use that to empower you to know, like, oh my gosh, we need to link arms. What are you doing that's working? What's not working?
Right.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very frustrating process at times, and it's been years since I made my transition, but same thing. And I wasn't big on LinkedIn at the time either, so I just was absolutely throwing darts and hoping something stuck. So, and
Yeah.
thankfully it did. But now that there's so many networks and other people like yourself that are willing to take that time and give the encouragement, give the insight, that certainly is going to be beneficial moving forward. So that's kind of my last question then. That one key piece of advice that either you received during your transition that helped from a friend or someone that was close to you, or something that now that you've been out for some time and you try to give this an insight to other educators or anyone that's just looking to transition into something new. What's the key thing that you like to have resonate with people when they come to you and say, Kayla, what do I do?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of two parts. My first part is, intentionality. Be intentional with who you're networking with. Be intentional with the types of positions you're applying for. Um, be intentional in your interviews and how you prepare, which, we could talk about that for like hours.
Mhm.
Um, but also alongside with the intentionality piece is as simple and cliche as it sounds, is don't give up. You
Mhm.
know, anybody anybody out there can say, "You know what? I'm gonna do this," and they can start just pumping out applications and then not do a single thing else, and they see no fruit of that, and then they give up, and then they're back in square one where they don't even wanna be, but yet they feel stuck there, and you're not stuck. So keep going, keep putting your foot forward, be that person that stands above all the noise, in your resiliency, in your ability to be intentional, and watch how it changes your transition journey.
Awesome. Awesome. So fantastic advice, Kayla. Thank you so much again for taking some time out of your day to share some insight. And again, for all the encouragement that you're sharing on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with Kayla yet, be sure to hit that follow connect button. We hope you have a great week ahead. We'll see you next Monday.